Probably we all have heard about the importance of strong passwords. Let's go a bit deeper and talk about what's strong password and why do we need it, and of course how to select it. When we want to use any of the computer systems and services like Windows, Gmail, Netflix and others, the system needs to be sure that we are the person we claim to be, and accordingly, system will give us permission to see and access the files, documents and any kind of resources that we possess in digital environment. In other words, prior to giving us access to our data, system needs the confirmation of our identity. So how system knows who we are? There are different ways to tell the system who we are. The main idea is to select the unique approach that will be known to no one apart from us. For this, we may use special digital token that's given only to us and no one else can have it. It's good but makes our life a bit harder, yes? Also, we can prove our identity using our biometric characteristics like fingerprint, eye scan, voice and other. This method guarantees a very high level of security because our biometric properties are unique and based on it practically no one can claim to be someone else. But despite all this, you should agree that it's not easy to use the biometric approaches each time we want to check our email, for example. Besides, sometimes there are limitations of the systems itself. They are not able to check our identity based on biometric characteristics. In other words, despite its way too secure and reliable method, we still struggle to use it in everyday life and prefer more easy and traditional approach, using passwords. What is password? In very general understanding, it's a secret word or phrase that's used to gain admission to a certain place. Passwords have been used since ancient times. In ancient Rome, security guards would challenge those wishing to enter an area to supply a password or watchword and would only allow a person or group to pass if they knew the password. But what is password in computer world? It's almost the same thing, a sequence of symbols that allows us to access to a computer system or service. Despite its name, a password doesn't need to be an actual word. I would say even more. It's much better if it's not an actual word from dictionary, because it will be a way hard for other people to guess it, which is such desirable property of password. Why do we need to select a strong password? When someone who we call malicious hackers tries to access our data, files, documents, or any resources in a system we use, they will fail because system will ask for the correct password and they will not be able to provide it unless they have already guessed our password for the particular system. If we select a strong password, it will be hard for hackers to guess it and then use it to get into the system and access our data. So remember, it's very important to select strong password to secure our data from accessing by others. How to select the strong password? There are several key recommendations that are critical to consider when setting a password for a certain system. If we want to avoid other malicious people accessing our sensitive information, we have to follow all these recommendations. Let's move forward step by step and look at each of them. Never use your name or surname as password. I think reason is too obvious and we will not focus too much on it. Setting your name as a password simply means you don't have password at all. Also, password has to be different from the username. Imagine if your email password is the same what's your email account name. Is not it a way too easy to guess by everyone who knows your email address? Third one, don't use toponyms, names of the places for your password. According to the studies, one of the most popular words for password usually is the name of a city or area a person lives or used to live. Based on the latest statistics, for 2020, the most popular passwords contain Rome, London, Milan, and New York. It means that if someone tries to guess your password, one of the first things what they will do is to check the names of the cities you ever lived. So don't make life easier to the hackers. For the same reasons, avoid using names of your family members and also pet names. Don't use the real, existing words from dictionary and try to create your own unique passwords. As most of the hackers try to guess passwords using automated tools, the software checks all the existing words from the database based on this dictionary. So if our password is not in the dictionary, it will be harder for anyone to guess it in such a way. Avoid using the same password in different systems. Why? If somehow hackers are able to guess our password in our system, it means they can get into the others as well. That's why it's so crucial to have different passwords in different systems. The length of the selected password is also very important. Various systems have different requirements, but almost everyone agrees on that password should be at least 8 characters in length. It will make the password cracking process much harder to compare with the situation when hackers try to guess, for example, 4 characters. But only length is not enough for a strong password. What else? Complexity. Try to use various special characters to increase the number of possible combinations. Uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, and other special characters. Try to have a good mix of all these symbols. This will increase the amount of work hackers and automated tools will have to do to crack your password. Accordingly, the time for password cracking will be also increased, and it may force the malicious people to give up and switch to someone easier to break. Always try to use mnemonic phrases as passwords. What does it mean? For example, this is ROYGBIV. It's the first letters of the rainbow colors. That's the example of mnemonic phrase. Try to think in this direction and choose something unique phrase for you. And please don't take the first letters of the rainbow colors. It's too easy because even hackers watch our videos. So here is the examples of good, strong passwords considering the proposed recommendations. Uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, special characters, and of course, the length. And here we have some of the most popular passwords of last year. This one, and of course, this one. Yes, imagine, exactly these passwords are most popular on the earth, and I really hope that none of these is your current password. Apart from considering all the requirements to the length and complexity of the passwords, you must change your password periodically. Why it's so important? We talked about how the password complexity makes harder the hackers' work to crack it. But however, theoretically, they can finally guess our even very strong and complex password if they have enough time and if they can check all the possible combination of the symbols. So here comes the need of periodically change of our passwords. Imagine someone tries to crack it and have already checked a half of the possible combinations and believes success is somewhere nearby. We suddenly change our password and they have to start the password cracking process from the very beginning, as the work done before is not useful anymore. That's how the periodical change of our password helps us. People often ask, what is the optimal period for password change? It depends on criticality of the system and may vary from 30 to 90 days. But periodically changing your password will not help if you use the same password plus one symbol in the end. The real value of changing password is if it's real change and not formal. Selecting a strong password, considering all these requirements, is very good and important thing. But remembering such complex passwords are also very challenging. People use different methods to remember long passwords, like this or this. So please don't do that. Keeping your passwords written down on stickers near your computer is a very, very bad idea. You give to the malicious people practically all needed information to get into your accounts, so never do that. So, what to do to remember all these long and complex passwords? There are a lot of good and reliable password managers. It's software where you keep all the passwords in an encrypted way. Each time you need any of your passwords, you open the password manager and copy password from there, so you don't have to remember any of your strong and complex passwords. You have to know only one password to access the password manager itself. Of course, there is also a risk to trust all your passwords to one single software. However, you can select more reliable and convenient for your vendor and use it. Some of such good password managers are NordPass, Remember. For example, I use Bitwarden and it's pretty cool. So it's up to you. So if you want to keep your accounts secure, please consider all these recommendations when selecting the passwords for your system. Good luck within this.